I met with the devil, he gave me his hand. He told me he'd love me as long as he can. At first I avoided each time that he'd ask the simplest question with each tiny task. Have you decided where you want to go? He got quite impatient, said you gotta choose. It's only your spirit that you're gonna lose. My time ran out quickly, I couldn't believe. But what I had said, I didn't deceive. Have you decided where you wanna go? I said to the devil, I'm staying right here. It's probably better if you disappear. The devil got angry and struck in my head. If I hadn't moved, I'd surely be dead. Have you decided where you want to go? I said, don't you touch me, protected by God. And that young sweet devil just gave me a nod. The devil moved on, she went on her way, and still I'm wary to this very day. Have you decided where you want to go? The devil is tricky, he's dealing in harm. To show up his beauty is part of her charm. Have you decided where you want to go? Have you decided? Do you even know? Hope you guys like that song. It's called Have You Decided? And to me, when I listen to it lyrically, it makes quite a bit of sense. For whatever reason, when I've shared it with some people who I used to be able to communicate with, they said they couldn't understand anything that was being said in the song. And I presented it in a number of ways, a whole lot of different ways, in soothing ways, in the blues, in the style of the blues, in the style of rock and roll. And all of the information I'm presenting is coming across in the style of words and music and emotion. And so a very limited amount of people might be able to actually hear what I'm saying, honestly. Like, some people may not be able to hear what I'm saying. The words may not make any sense to them whatsoever, because emotion can only communicate to an emotional connection. In other words, if you don't know what love is, or empathy is, or compassion is, if you don't know what these things are, you may not be able to resonate with someone who is able to resonate on those wavelengths. In the past, I had a number of participants on this channel, and you can see, you can just go back through the history as far as it's being presented to me. It might appear differently to someone else who is not myself, but you can see there's a consistency. There's one person liking these videos occasionally. There's potentially two people who are making comments here and there. But the reality of it is, people don't want to watch a journey that doesn't say something that is entertaining. And a lot of us have overlooked the fact that entertainment should be a secondary component to actual communication. For that reason, I've likened the wars that are going on globally to the very perception of a difficulty in my own life talking with my own fathers, whether it be my own father or the stand-in delegates of fatherhood. I've oftentimes found myself not being able to communicate these thoughts, even to the point where when I ask a simple question that has to do with our logical future, like whether it's more beneficial to continue in the old ways and bury people on land that's already a depleted resource, whether we have to continue to embalm people and put these poisons into the ground along with our loved ones, or whether we can find another way to make these realities a little bit more sustainable for all of us. There are some people who are jet-setting their way across the world, globally, flying, going to conferences where there's loads of bottles of whatever to drink, to consume. And then there's myself doing the same thing. Look at all that you see in my proximity. Everything that's gotten to me in the form of something that wasn't passed down through my lineage has been packaged, sold by someone else, and oftentimes that means that these items have come from places where people may not care for the items the same way as the intended owner. For that reason, we can feel anxious, jealous, if we think someone else is tending to things that aren't rightfully theirs. Like, let's say for an example, this is just an example, let's call it fiction. Let's say that I had a destructive relative who burned down the house that was basically for my lineage to enjoy. Let's say we had an irresponsible person burn down the house and they weren't in my family. I don't know that I would be so willing to accept the blame for the other person's destructive behavior, but I do know that there's a cleanup effort that needs to occur. And so until we can communicate logically to find common ground, to find a way that we can resonate, then I can only postulate, I can only hypothesize that some people have not quite made a decision So I have a lot of fun playing music. I'm challenged in accomplishing the things that I've been trying to accomplish right now. My health has been interesting as I talk about these things. I've noticed that we're back up to 400 subscribers, and I know the number is going to continue to climb from there. There are certain participants, I think, that are in the mix that may be holding back. And because they're holding back, they're holding us all back. These communications that continue to manifest to you, the person who continues to see these videos, and the lack of participation among all of the rest of the family with whom we visit, friends, family, throughout the day, throughout the week. To not include them in some of these conversations makes me wonder not only if some people have decided, but if some people have decided to do everything they can to cover up the conversations that I believe need to occur with regard to our challenging global situation. Just the other day, I was talking with a professional who vehemently denied climate change. They said it was just a cyclical thing, the things that are happening. This is probably true. And at the same time, the cycle is going in a direction where we're noticing unusual anomalies in our climate. That's a change. By definition, just because one party or another has vilified the phrase does not mean it's a theory about conspiracies. Climate change is the same as saying, hey, it's a little bit hotter than normal these past 2 summers. I know it is where I'm at. Where I'm at, I used to be able to grow fruit, tomatoes, strawberries, all kinds of things. And all of that stopped during last summer's extreme prolonged summer heat. We were in the temperature range of 100 degrees plus for several weeks in a row. Now, that was a record to have that many days in a row, plus the lack of rainfall. Last year around this time frame, I was in the Big Bend National Park, where the campgrounds were surrounded by a lot of yearling bears, a lot of bears that were young, that had been ousted from the richer areas of the national park. These bears were circling the campgrounds, of which not many people were camping in those campsites. And they were circling the campgrounds basically because in the campgrounds, that's where the little cluster of trees and boulders and things that could make it pleasant to camp in the hot Texas summer were at. And the bears were there because they'd been kicked out of the lusher areas that had food and water. And they were basically trying to rest in the hot summer drought. Imagine being a large furry animal. You're already kind of skinny because it hasn't rained in a long time. You haven't fed and feasted on all the things that you normally would eat. It's hot. And there's these people going around using air horns to move you. And then they tell a story on the news saying the bears, this is you, the furry animal that can't move. The bears were hanging out in the park because of the mesquite beans that were growing at the campground area. The truth will set you free. The truth won't set other people free in general until other people start to speak their truth as well. So the truth for me is that if I can run 10 miles regularly, and if I can increase and improve the efforts that I'm taking to regain my health, and if I'm just able to maintain my health, sometimes I believe that I have chosen the side that other people are trying to bury, and I'm just trying to climb my way out of some of these things that are occurring. And I'm not panicked. So it's not like I've succumbed to the curse, the family curse. But it is quite a scramble to keep on that path. The journey that takes us to where we're supposed to be. And as time has progressed, I notice I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. The things that come together exactly in ways that nobody could really have predicted. None of us know the exact day of the end of time as we know it. But in these end of days, whether it's just for our own individual lifespans, let us reflect on the truth of the matter, and that is we do not incrementally have the capacity to have joy for certain things if we have a majority of ill intent to almost everything that we hear. If we're super sarcastic, that's one way that sometimes you can go down the wrong path. Sarcasm and having a little bit of feeling jaded. That's not the exact word I'm looking for. But to have those two things happen at the same time, sometimes we're not passive when it comes to hearing insight. Sometimes we're judgmental. And the judgmental typically will say in public things that are hostile and hostilely angry. I'm guilty of these things myself. There's a movie called Falling Down. It's a blast from the past for those of you who haven't seen it or heard of it because it's so old. You know, you're talking to one of your elders. You're talking with one of your elders here on this channel. I encourage you to click on the comments area, leave some insight as far as what resonated with you so that we can be on the same page, helping one another out. Thank you so much for clicking on the thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing these insights. I know that it spans everything from very personal to a very broad scope. This is how information should be considered. Every situation is unique, that's true. And for the pressing matter of all of humanity and nature in general, we might want to consider prayer and fasting. And those kind of concepts are things that come about when we think about, have we decided on if we're going to be led down the path by someone who's going to mislead us? You know, one of my dearest, we'll call them associates, one of my dearest associates was taken off path to the point where they got so lost that help had to be called in. In the past, I had tried to discuss an anomaly with the person who took my associate off path. And they got very upset because I mentioned that something was amiss, something was out of order. From that point on, I have not been invited to travel with those people. One person probably would travel with me, and the other person probably would go out of their way to not travel with me. But because those two people are mutually friends with each other and not mutually friends with me, I don't really see these people all that much. While I was seeing them, I noticed there was almost a cognitive decline going on. The products that were being used that could have led to that, if I even so much as mentioned that those were possible things causing this ailment, people would get mad. Those people. And all I can do is forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. All I can do is continue to speak as if at some point one of our elders is going to pick up and answer the call. One of our younger elders is going to pick up and answer the call. Now, I know there are a great deal of people listening from any number of places for any number of reasons. And I also know that I'm learning how to accomplish what we're accomplishing in this era, just like you are. And without one another's assistance, we might come up a little short. The good thing is, every day we have the opportunity to continue to train towards whatever result we know we're expecting to achieve. If we're going to sit on a stockpile of mementos from eons ago and hold it until it's time for someone else to clean up our passion, well, it better be worthwhile. Whatever I'm holding on to in the presence of and on behalf of God I want to treat it as if I'm going to give it back to God in better condition, or at least as good as condition as it was given to me. There will be wear from general use, and that wear continues to be exposed. General use. If I'm generally not going plant-based, I might show it in my overall health. And when I resonate differently, I would hope that whether I was extremely positive or extremely negative, that we would be able to see throughout that span of time just who would be there with you for better and worse. Some people won't allow you to be around because they think they're better. The thing is, health-wise, we all go through a cycle. And we will all meet one another throughout time, one another over and over, I should have said throughout time. And one day we'll find ourselves relying on the caregiver, just like when we were first birthed. So that reminds me, I've got someone in this group who's about to celebrate a milestone, another revolution, another cycle of seasons, another year. I'm sure there are a lot of people celebrating birthdays this August, and for the people celebrating birthdays year-round, I encourage you to share the joy, help other people learn to celebrate as well, and help to calmly discuss the new cycles that we're facing. We're all facing these new cycles together. The things that succeed are the things that are being invested in. If we're investing in airlines and separate relaxation where we don't include the people we thought we might have more time with over these eons, then maybe it's because we ourselves don't prioritize what it is that we truly want to succeed. For me, wildlife and nature is the primary driving focus of this channel. It always has been. And in order to do a better job raising awareness, raising money for wildlife and nature, I myself need to raise my own frequency. And so for everyone out there who is celebrating, I celebrate with you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. And I appreciate that you clicked on the thumbs up and subscribed. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.